Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. Today I'm going to return to my year-long series of films by Luis Bunuel. This will be about my 9th or 10th video. Today's movie is Illusions, Travel by Streetcars. Comes from 1954, so we're right in the middle of Bunuel's Mexican period. This is not one of his famous films. There is a ancient DVD that you can purchase on eBay, but YouTube does stream a couple versions of this film. One of them is unwatchable. I'll link in the description box below to the print on YouTube that's worthwhile streaming without ads and with subtitles. So you might think this is a film for Bunuel completists. Certainly, I would imagine most people listening to me probably never heard of the film, no less seen it. But I found it a very engaging comedy. I'd never seen this one before. As the title indicates, it's about a streetcar, and old 133, and it's being repaired. And it is an ancient streetcar. There's new modern cars coming, but they're going to try to fix 133 to see how much more mileage they could get out of it. And they have two repairmen working on it. This is Curly and Tarajas, and they are our main protagonist. And they have 7 days to fix old 133. They fix it in 3 days. And it was something minor. And they seem to be temporary employees. I was a little bit confused as to what their status was at this company, but they're taken to the traffic manager, who takes them to the president and of the streetcar company, and tells him he's astounded. He says sometimes efficiency isn't a good thing. You had 7 days to do this work, and now you did it in 3. And then when he investigates the history of 133, he finds a new memo saying that 133 is destined for the scrap heap. So this great triumph of repair by our two heroes goes for naught. And so there's a party with a pageant going on that evening, and Curly and Terejas, they like their beer. But they're also the star of this pageant. It's a very funny pageant. It's biblical stories. We see God pushing Satan, Lucifer, out of his orbit. He's exiled forever. And we see the story of the Garden of Eden, where Tarajas is playing the devil with horns. Curly, the tall man, is playing God, and it's very it's very primitively staged. But all the props have strings, so when they grab a sword and they're done, it flies up into the heaven. Again, Curly is the very tall, good-looking guy. Tarajas is the stocky, shorter man. And you can think of them sort of as an inverted Laurel and Hardy. There's a little bit of Abbott and Costello going on here. So intermission comes to the pageant, and they get very sentimental about old 133. And they get very drunk, and they forget about the pageant, and they decide they're going to take 133 for one last ride. The watchman at the depot is at the party. He's drunk as well, so they have no obstacle, and they go out for just a little short joyride, and then they decide they're going to pick up the people coming out of the party, which they do. So they have a full streetcar. They go to the stockyard. They're about to go back to the depot, and when all the workers come out, so now they got another streetcar full of passengers. So this is a sort of overnight and the next day as well, travel through the streets of Mexico City, trying to get back to the depot. They fall asleep at night. They wake up early. Evidently, this is like a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. sort of streetcar company. And the construction is blocking them from getting back. And they have to find an alternate way to get back to the depot. So along the way, they pick up more passengers against their will. There's a bunch of school children that are off to a day trip, and so they have put special on their signage so that people wouldn't think that they're going to be picked up by the streetcar. But that's exactly what this teacher of these school children is looking for. So they have to stop, and then they don't know what to do with these kids. So they feign that something has gone wrong. So they stop and they tell the kids to get off. And these are unruly kids. And so there's a Bunuelian touch here where half of them are orphans, and one of the new boys is being bullied. And where they stop, there's a movie set going on to the side of the road. And the bullies tell this new kid who is an orphan, "That is your mother." And he looks down. In a Bunuelian shot, we see an actress fondling her calf as she's preparing for her role. So they get off, and the little boy, of course, thinks maybe this is my mother. But when he encounters her, she's very perturbed with him. So then they take off again. They run across an inspector, and who is blocking their way, so they have to take him on board. Taraz's sister, Lupita, has joined them by now, who's also romantically involved with Curly. And she provides a great distraction for this inspector, who clearly could see something is amiss here. Then they pick up all sorts of people along the way, crowds of people. The whole streetcar is full of people. And a couple nuns get on, seemingly nuns, and they have something covered up in their hands, and it turns out to be an icon. And the one nun describes the miracles that this icon is responsible for, and the people are on the streetcar starting to give them donations, even though another passenger said, "I know who these people are. They're not real," but the other passengers don't care. They're going to give their donations. What do you know? So this is a realistic situation here, and it's just funny watching this streetcar going nowhere. They have to wait till the evening, and to get the streetcar back after 7 o'clock, so they don't get caught. They figure they're going to go to jail if they do get caught. So they go on a sort of like a side road, and they're waiting for 7 o'clock. But there's some bad business going on right next to them. A truck comes with a load of fertilizer. We've already been shown that Mexico City is in some hyperinflation right now. So we see a scene where the bakeries are overcharging for bread, and so one of the bags falls off of the truck, and it's the fertilizer, and it's corn grain. And some of the neighbors notice it, so now there's this big ruckus going on. So we have an economic situation here too, as well as some funny scenes on the streetcar where they are not charging for the passengers because they figure now we're going to be charged with stealing, but the passengers insist on paying. And then they can't refrain from they have a difficult time telling the passengers, "No, this is a free ride here." And when American Tourist gets on, when she hears there's no payment, she says, "My gosh, this sounds like communism." So eventually, one of the passengers that gets on board is a retiree from the company, and he is an annoyance to the company. He thinks he's still an employee. He's not. He gets on board, and of course, he figures out what's going on. You're stealing the streetcar, but there's no way he can convince, when he gets on the phone, there's no way he can convince the company that there's a stolen streetcar out there. And he even goes to the president's office, and the president says, "How can you steal a streetcar? We own all the tracks. There's no place it could go." So we have this the complacency of the bourgeoisie, which is a common theme in Bunuel. And Bunuel's attitude towards this film was, it was just something that he made for money, even though there's lots of Bunuel touches here. He thought The Last Reel was pretty good. And I came across an interview with Bunuel where he said when he was like 17 or 18 in his hometown, he and his friends rented a streetcar. Evidently, you could do that in the town he lived in. So all his friends had a picnic. They hired a band to play on board, and they were able to go all through the city on a joyride. So despite the fact that you could watch this film and never know that Luis Bunuel directed it, or it's a comedy comedy of errors. It's very much there's lots of sight gags. There's lots of irony. There's lots of coincidences that keep getting, unforeseen circumstances keep getting in the way. So overall, again, the print's not great, but I do want to be a completist, at least in this. I could just cover the main films of Bunuel, but this is an interesting experiment, basically a diary of my journey through Bunuel's films. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who listened. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.